Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how I made these flower pot place cards that I'm going to use for Easter brunch. These are super cute. You may have seen another video or read another one of my blogs where I use these seed pots from Dollar Tree. They come 12 packed in a package, making the seed pots themselves very inexpensive. And I added some other Dollar Tree items to come up with this really cute way to make fun place cards for my Easter brunch. As you're watching the video today, if you find anything to be helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you just take a second and tap the like button. And if you're interested in other DIY videos that I do, take a second and tap subscribe. All right, let's take a look at what I used to make this project. First, I used these seed pots. Again, these came from Dollar Tree, packed 12 pots for $1. I also used these bright green pebbles that filled up about 4 different pots. I used this hot pink burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, kind of cut it into smaller pieces and wrap it around. I used bought a package of these straws from Dollar Tree, use those for my stems, a penny to plug in that hole on the bottom of my pot, because that's where I'm trying to glue something. I have my paper. This is what I use to cut my flowers out of, and of course, hot glue. So the first thing that I did is cut out my flowers. I used a Cricut machine because I have one. If you don't have a Cricut, you could just either hand draw the flower petals, or you could even look up a flower, just Google flower and get something that you could trace. I did that and I found several options. It's just easier for me to use a Cricut because I have it. There was a free flower shape in Cricut Design Studio, and that's what I used to cut out. In hindsight, I wish I had brighter colors of petals, but this was the paper I happened to have when I was doing the project. I did use a couple of different sizes of the flowers because you'll see that I layered them. So in my Cricut Design Studio, I took the one flower that I made and then I just changed the size and increased the size of it a little bit. And that's how then, once I got these all cut and pulled off the mats, that's how I was able to have multiple sizes. And I did those in a few different multiple colors. All right, so with my flowers cut, it's time to start building my flower pot from the bottom up. I'm going to need to glue that straw in the middle, but I can't stick a glue right in the middle when there's a big hole, so I just need to plug that up. You could use anything. You could probably even use cardstock. I had so many pennies in my house. I'm just gluing a penny to the bottom. I liked it too because it adds a little bit of weight versus paper. So a dab of glue, and then getting it into that pot and then just pressing down and letting that dry. And that's just going to plug that hole up so that I can glue my straw down right in the middle. So my straw is actually going to glue right on top of this penny. So I'm going to, once that dries, I will go ahead and I'll put the glue right on top of that penny. And I'll put enough. I need to put kind of a big glob of that glue because when I stick the straw into the glue, it needs to be enough that it's going to hold it firm. Now, keep in mind, we're going to pour these pebbles all around it, and that's really going to help that straw stand up. But I do want the glue to hold it almost on its own, just because I'll feel like it won't always be trying to tilt or tip over. So get that straw standing straight up, right in the middle, and then once you feel like that's starting to dry, you can go ahead and start pouring those green pebbles all around it. And as you're pouring them in, just make sure that that straw is staying right in the center as you start to pour them. If you're pouring too much on one side, I found that my straw starts to tilt or not be quite centered like it's supposed to be. Next, I went ahead and just labeled each of the flowers with all of the people that will be around the Easter table. And I just tried to kind of vary the colors a little bit so they all didn't look exactly the same. And I used, of course, the smaller flower and wrote the name on the inside and then layered it with the larger flower on the outside. I almost printed paper, even like a piece of white cardstock, and then I was going to circle punch that to make it so that the names were just more of a font versus handwritten. And I just decided, I thought it would be kind of more special to handwrite it. So you could choose to go ahead and print it if you wanted to be more perfect. And once the flowers are done, you can get those glued onto the straw. Just take your hot glue gun and run a strip of glue right down one side of the straw. You want to make sure wherever you're putting that you think it's the prettiest part of the pot. You know, if any of your pots are scratched or anything, you wouldn't want that on the front. So just put that strip on and press it. It is going to get hot. It's just paper, so the hot glue on the back side of that will come right through. And you can just work your way down and get the fronts on each of the pots while the glue is drying. And then once they're all done, you can start to turn them around and do the back and basically do the same thing down the back. Get a strip of glue on that straw, put the paper on. You know, if you want to, you could decorate it a little bit. I don't think you'd put a name again because it's the back side of the place card, but you could put a button or something like that in the middle of the flower just to give even a more detailed look to the back side of that flower pot place card. All right, and one of the last finishing touches is to get our ribbon. Again, I got this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's very wide. So I decided I was just going to cut thin strips of it. So first, I just figured out how much I was going to need to get around the pot. And then I cut that piece. And then I turned it the opposite way, and I had my scissors go down like 4 or 5 rows. I don't know if you call them rows, but you see the weaving lines. And I just cut these strips every about 4 to 5 lines. And then I took my glue gun and ran it around the top of the seed pot where I was going to glue that burlap ribbon down. And I just did it all the way around just so that I know that burlap would have a good tight hold onto the seed pot. And then I press that ribbon into the pot, and this is where you have to be careful with this burlap. That hot glue comes right through it, so you can use some kind of tool or something to press that down to make sure you're not burning your fingers. I always like to put one last dot of glue when that ribbon comes around, just to make sure it's really secured onto the pot. And that's it. It was really quick and simple to put together these place card flower pots. Again, 12 pots for $1. I was able to get one bag of the pebbles, the bright green pebbles from Dollar Tree. I was able to fill one bag. I did them. You can see they're pretty full. Filled 4 pots. Got the big bag of straws for $1, and then I just grabbed a couple pieces of paper I already own. So you're talking, 10, 15 cents per place card. So a really great price. If you heard anything today that was helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you would take just a second and tap that like button. And if you do like watching DIY videos, also if you'd like to subscribe, I think that would be great too. I do a lot of DIYs related to the holidays. This year I'm doing a lot related to graduation because I have one of those in my life. And I'd love for you to have a chance to watch some of those.